Welcome to the Boomer Woman's Podcast. I'm your host, Agnes Knowles. Boomer. Some people don't like the term, but I think, like many other words, it's all in how you say it. My umbrella business is Boom with a Bang, and I think we should keep that in mind as much as possible. We Boomer women don't have a lot of role models as we traverse this chapter, so the goal of this podcast is to introduce you to guests who might incentivize, encourage, teach you to embrace your wisdom, our wisdom. With this incarnation of the Boomer Woman's Podcast, I'm interviewing people who have a message of interest for our demographic. If you want to hear about or learn about something specific, let me know and I'll find someone who understands us to talk about it. There's a contact page at boomwithabang.com. If you want to be a guest on podcast or know someone who would be a great guest, message me. Finally, this show is all about conversation. We women know its value, we know how to do it, and we must perpetuate the art form. So let's get started with today's show. Welcome to the Boomer Woman's Podcast. I'm your host, Agnes Knowles. Senior living communities. They seem to come in an increasingly greater number of shapes and sizes. When I sold my last house, I was relieved to be done with the work, the hassle, the expense of home ownership. I still work with elders in my city, and I spout the benefits of senior living communities regularly. I watch one couple strain to deal with their large house and property. He seems to be in almost constant physical pain, and neither one of them use over half of their home. Downsizing into an independent living facility seems to me to be a great idea for them. My guest today is a marketer for a senior living community, and she comes with a wealth of knowledge about them. Whether you're looking at the lifestyle for yourself or for a loved one, Tonia will explain it all. Tonia Griffin, welcome to the Boomer Woman's Podcast.
Thank you, Agnes. I appreciate you. Thank you. This is such an honor. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this conversation. Now, my career in elder care happened quite by accident. How did you come to a career in senior living?
That's a great question. Mine was by accident and divine. I had a friend that knew about Williamsburg in 1989, and they said she talked to the social activities director, and they were looking for a part-time interim 2-week activity assistant while the current assistant goes on vacation because her daughter was having a baby because she was an older lady. And then she decided not to come back. And then they asked me to stay on. I had no idea what I was doing. And then Debbie, that social activities director at the time, we worked together, we did parties. And then in December of that same year, she moved on. And so Ron, who I was previously talking to you about, our president and one of our owners, he asked me to be the director. So it was and I love seniors. I think it truly is divine. I feel like they helped raise me because I was pretty young. And then I loved it. Really, it just happened by accident and divine. So.
Well, it sounds like you and I actually had the same intro because right. I was helping a friend out too, and she decided to retire. And it's just like, well, you just take the job, Agnes.
Right. Yeah.
Now, despite their popularity and their abundance really nowadays, senior living communities still come with a bit of a stigma of old people. But there's different types of living situations. Could you start by just explaining the difference between independent living and assisted living?
Sure. So every independent living community is a little bit different. Independent living to us is an apartment. They come and go as they please. We have, like in our community, we have a good morning button, a check-in, but it's really independent. They still work, they drive. They just don't want to worry about the house, the yard, the housekeeping, changing the AC filter, getting an AC guy because the AC's out, getting a roofer. All of that becomes overwhelming. And they're tired. And then the assisted is a little bit more help. They need help with bathing, dressing. They need maybe a little bit more help with making decisions, sometimes. But it's really the mobility issue. And some are just like, I'm fine. I just need a little bit of assistance. But I've noticed in my experience that even communities in Baton Rouge, their independent and assisted is a little bit different. And so some communities around the country, do not, with independent, don't even do a health assessment. Us as a community, we do that. So it's very important, to for independent and assisted to know the difference, and that we're not a nursing home, and it's not just for old people. It's for retirees that don't want to have to worry about, all the 4-bedroom home, because it's overwhelming. And then they start to downsize.
It's funny because these independent living communities have been around for a while now. And it seems to me that, having some meals prepared, having some housekeeping done for you, it's got to be an ideal lifestyle, because you still come and go. Yeah, yeah.
Right. I mean, 2 hot meals a day, once a week housekeeping. They change your bed linens. Independent can also include transportation to and from the doctor's office. Someone may have an eye doctor appointment and they don't need to be driving if their eyes are being dilated, so we can drive. And then communities have a big bus most of the time, and then they can go on trips, and shopping and out to lunch, out for breakfast. Down here, we love, coffee and beignets in Louisiana. So, people love to do that. We like to eat all of our good, spicy food. But yeah, it's really important not to have that stigma that it's old people, it's a nursing home, and that type of thing.
Well, and I know too, even moving on to assisted living, like sometimes it's nice just to have a bit of help with something. Or what my experience is people flourish once they know that there's other people around, and, they can check in, or they get to know a few people up the hall, that sort of thing. You must see that a lot.
I do. Socialization is the most important thing, especially after the staycation, as I called it, of 2 years. That's a much better twist and turn than, what we had, the COVID pandemic. Yes, socialization, because they're just there by themselves, especially if they're not driving that much. Even though they still drive, they might not have a lot of friends. A lot of their friends have passed on. And so that socialization is so important. It really is. And the safety too, because it's, communities are all enclosed, they're safety, they're locked. The front door does not go outside. So you don't have some stranger walking up to your front door too. And, you don't know who it is. In communities, you have to check in and out. Yeah. But assisted living is amazing. It's a really much needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when people are looking for a site to live, a place to live, what sort of location aspects are they looking at? Like close to shopping, close to cultural venues, close to family? Like, what do you see most of?
That's a very good question, Agnes. So they are looking for close to their home. Okay. The children's home. Okay. Loved one's home, right? Because they don't want to drive 40 minutes to go see mom if they can help it. Some people do. Okay. Some people do. But that's number one, close to shopping, close to doctor's appointments, just kind of like centrally located if possible, but also maybe even churches as well too. And also in our community right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, we're close to YMCAs, health clubs, a huge towns. It's called Town Center. It has Whole Foods. It has all those staple, beautiful, Talbots, all those ladies' clothing shops that they like to shop. So, and then close to doctor's office too, as well, and churches, so families like to be able just to run by. Even I've heard, I work downtown, so when I leave, I'm going to pass by and come see mom or dad. So it's very convenient for them, right? So then they don't have to, they can see them every day if they want to. I have one daughter, she comes every day to see her mom right after work. So it's really important. But again, it's just on what people are looking for. And I tell people, look, it's okay. I completely understand if that location is better for you, because they live out, maybe in South Baton Rouge or whatever the case may be. I said, that's fine. But people they hear and see reviews and word of mouth. That's the most important thing. As you know, when somebody's, you always ask your friend, oh, who's your doctor, or who is your hairstylist? So word of mouth is very important. And that brings a trusting issue, and they trust you trust your friend, right? Because her hair looks good or whatever,
Yeah.
It's like, I like your hair. So then just like communities, like, oh, my mom loves it, so they'll tell somebody else. We have, people that come and they look around. We have clubs that come and I host luncheons. So I just tell people, look, it doesn't matter if your mom moves in, you might know someone that might need some help. Maybe your church friend, your neighbor across the street. I've had neighbors call me, I'm so worried about so-and-so. My neighbors, they may not have a lot of family in town. And so it's just, you get all different types of scenarios. So I know that was a longer answer, but
No. Three things have come to mind while you've been talking, and I hope I can go through them all. Is first of all, the ability to relinquish the car. Because driving as I get older, I love driving, but it's not as much fun in the city anymore.
Right.
It's
correct.
Just crazy.
It really is. And it's just some people's reactions aren't, as fast as they used to be. The eyesight with the macular degeneration. Some people, I've had people decide, I'm giving up the car. Now, some are holding on to it, but yeah, that's very important too, to be able to have that ability to have transportation, even connecting with partners in the community that say, oh, I will take you. It's like an Uber, but they stay with you. It's a personal consultant, basically. Right. And they will take you anywhere, and you just pay them by the hour, and they will be your advocate. It's amazing. So we have, there's all kind of ways that you can get around if you really want to. Then you save on car insurance. Maybe your car is paid off, but car insurance can be expensive. That saves you
the price of gas.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
They're just crazy.
And so, you save a lot of money that way too.
Yeah.
And
the other thing that I thought about, because it reminded me of one of my favorite resident families ever, was you talked about the daughter who would just drop in after work. So often there's this sense of duty for families of like, oh, we've got to plan the afternoon to visit mother or whatever. Whereas if you can drop in every day, it's like, just a quick drop in, a 10, 15-minute visit will do. And then maybe on the weekend you can do something a bit more, time consuming or something.
Right.
But, it takes so much pressure off of family if
it does.
The elder is close.
Oh, it does. And I've even had families tell me, Tonia, I sleep at night now, knowing my mother is at a community, because, the safety and of course the socialization, it's a lot of it is the safety, but they run by here all the time. Have one family, 5 sons. They're like thanking us. Thank you so much for taking care of my mother. They're so gracious, even though she's doing it all, but it's that safety and that, because we never close, right? This is their home. And then we always have somebody at the front desk. And I think a lot of communities have that, for safety reasons, obviously, but any type of emergency. So that's important.
Peace of mind for everybody. Yeah.
Right. Peace of mind.
Now, you also mentioned the groups that come in, like whether it's public service or community groups, whatever. I can see the benefit of that, because if one of those people in the future is going to be looking for either assisted living or independent living, it's like, where are they familiar with? What are they, who do they remember seeing, and that sort of thing. So the first person they're going to look up is you. So that's great.
Yeah, I tell residents and family members that anybody, if you have a book club, church club, investment club, I will host it. I will get you wine, cheese. We will wine and dine you, because it's community space. And we also can partner, like we started a Tai Chi class, and basically it's for our residents. But in the past, before the COVID, we had what's called OLLI. Just about every university, I think, in the country, it's called Ochsner Lifelong Learning Institute. And they usually have them but anyway, it's classes for anyone over 50. We had the art of campaign finance. The art of column writing. We have a famous column writer. He does all these funny things. His name is Smiley Anders, and he even came and led the class. But that was not only for our residents, but for the whole community. So so anyone that saw that they wanted to attend that class could come. So that's another way for us to be shown, too, and just see what we're all about without trying to sell somebody, which I don't even think this is sales. This is someone's life, and this is someone's mother, aunt, uncle, neighbor.
Yeah, I should think that, like trying to sell them would be a red flag almost for the family member. So
right.
Now, I've just spent the last 4 months watching and helping an executor deal with a large house full of furniture and generations of memorabilia. Like, it's been in the family for over 100 years. Wow. Now, this executor loved the homeowner, and it's been really hard on her dispensing with all the stuff while trying to respect the history. Now, that has to be a perfect example of how an elder can maintain control of what stays, what goes where and to whom, and then all that taken care of, they can move into a community and just be more relaxed about all their stuff and where it is.
Yes, ma'am. We even have recommend partners that we have that will actually go through your items with you and do exactly, they're not an executor, but they're companies, and they partner, and they specifically work with seniors. They'll work with anyone, and they even have senior advocates. We have a very good partnership. And so I recommend them, and that's up to the families if they decide to use them, but they will help you, declutter, if you will, or downsize. And then they will pack you, literally move you, schedule the movers, unpack you, and even hang the pictures on the wall. And I tell everybody, I know it may be a little bit more money than you want to spend, but that worry and that stress just comes because they're so overwhelmed. They're trying to pack. They're scared that, what is this life going to be like? I don't know. They're nervous and anxious at 80 or whatever it is. They've lived in their home 60 years. And so they don't want to get rid of all their precious things. But for a family like that, man, if it's been in there, I would put it in a historical place or something, or put it in a museum, because I'm sure it's some fabulous things that, they don't make things like they used to, I'm seeing with the residents, and I love seeing all of those beautiful antiques. And I love it. It's just, they all have a story to tell,
Yeah, it's all in the story.
Yeah.
I must say, like the last couple of times I've moved, I've really tried to just say, nothing's precious anymore. Styles change, whether it's the style of furniture or the pictures on the wall or the memorabilia. It may have been precious to me, and many times it still is, but trying to let go of that.
And some people want to have a fresh start, and they say, you know what, I'm getting all new furniture. I had a family I was working with, and the resident is moving from San Antonio. The son went out, bought some new furniture for mom, and then they were going to take care of the house, right? She had a estate sale. And then there's others, because they want, mom or whoever it is, the loved one wants to be able to bring all those beautiful, familiar things and make it like their home. And some of these apartments, I feel like I'm literally walking into their home previously, because it's so gorgeous. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I get so many wonderful ideas from, families that I work with, and, the children I'm seeing. And, I keep talking about that. This is, your title is, boomer. And so what I keep thinking is the boomers want those pretty, modern, everything white. Oh, I love that too. So our model is kind of like that. So that appeals to, the younger generation, if you will. And then of course, mom and dad or aunt and uncle want to bring all their things that they've had in their family. So, it kind of goes both ways. It just depends, on what people want to do.
Now, some of my female friends and I agree that we'd like to age in place together for so many reasons. Do you ever see small groups of friends all make the decision together?
They do. There be neighbors across the street. Oh my God, my so-and-so. I told my neighbor, I had one lady, she moved from a little small town. She had coffee with her best friend across the street every single day. So she moved in. The other lady said she was never moving to a retirement community because her friend moved in. She said, okay, I'm coming. She didn't want to miss her friend. And then we've had family members tell other families, or groups of friends. Really, and I tell them, tell your friends, wouldn't you want to have your best friend living next to you? I even had two residents that lived in what was called, I guess you would call it, beautiful condos. I mean, upscale condos, townhomes in a private community. And then they ended up, I didn't know it, their apartments here, they were living next door to each other. It just happens like that, so it's just a really neat experience to be able to. But yes, age in place is a very good thing, because you can even get caregivers, or if you want, call them sitters, to help you if you need a little bit more help. But you can stay, people can stay in this apartment, in their apartments forever, basically. And that's what we've had.
That might be a good segue into another question I wanted to ask, which I know when I had my elder care career, I often wished that one site, one property could house the independent living, the assisted living, and then even the care part.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see very much of that around?
I do.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on what the situation is financially too. But most people try to get a caregiver, and they live here forever. Now, sometimes if mom or dad or the loved one needs like 24-hour caregiving, they might, obviously, that's a lot of money plus your rent, Yeah. So sometimes or they may need a little bit more medical care, a nurse on site all the time. We have everything third party that you can get. We have personal care assistants, but the physician assistant, doctor's house calls, occupational therapy, physical therapy, x-rays, that can all be done in their apartment, your analysis. But if they need a little bit more medical, they may go to another community that has a nurse and doctor on staff. And we've had that transition for in a particular community here in Baton Rouge, not far from us. And they have just blossomed because they needed that extra care. It's a smaller community, this particular one. And because they have that constant, they can change it, I guess, their medication on a whim, and that they've just blossomed. So, and then some people, like I said, their financial situation is just, and then they may have to go to a nursing home. In our state, I didn't know this, not to get into, but Medicaid pays for assisted living in other states. Here in Louisiana, it doesn't. It pays for nursing homes. Okay. You see, so there's a big difference. So I learned that from actually a daughter that was looking to move her mom, so I learned all kind of things because we have to know the rules and regulations, as for assisted living. There are rules and regulations by the state, and depending on where you live, which state you live in, that's what you have to follow, as you know.
Yeah. And I'll just add here too that we never touched on it, but I'm in Canada.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah, no. But even whether it's between states or between provinces, just a word to our listeners is we all use a certain set of phraseology, but it's relatively universal. But doing a quick check within their own area, they're going to come up with that. Now, I was going to tell a story and I've forgotten what it was. Oh, I know. You talked about care and then the security of knowing they've got care. One of my favorite stories at a site I worked at, because I always worked at advanced complex care, and we had a palliative care room.
Oh,
and
yes.
We finally gave up because whenever people moved in there to offer them a bit more space so family could visit, spend time, they rallied and never did pass on. So we gave up having a palliative care room. It was kind of fun in that regard.
Oh,
now,
yes.
Now, I've just told a story. Rumor has it you're a storyteller. Can you share a story about an elder who's perhaps really been reluctant or refusing even to move into a community like yours and then ended up being one of your best ambassadors?
Oh, that's a very good question. So a young man, or I'll say, a senior, he's going back and forth from his sons out of state to his daughter that lives here. So his daughter takes a tour. Oh my God, my dad would love this, but he will not hear of it. Nothing. Okay. I told her, I said, how about I just go and visit? Just go to your house, literally, and I won't even talk about it. I won't say anything. And so she's like, oh my God, you would do that? I said, of course. I have videos if he wants to see it. If not, I'm just going to go have a conversation with him, just like you and I. And so I go, and the first thing he tells me, because he knows where I'm coming from, right? And he says, I'm not going there. I said, oh, Mr. Bob, it's fine. That's okay. And I start talking to him, and he tells me what a wonderful artist. I mean, he shows me and starts showing me his paintings, his drawings. Now, I'm not really talking about, we're just having a conversation like you and I. By the end of the, time that we spent together, he gave me one of his drawings and paintings. To me, that was a sign that, hey, I mean, it doesn't mean he's coming, but hey, we made a connection. He was so sweet. I was so honored. Okay. Because he started drawing when he was 10, and he's probably like, I would say 80s. So that's a long time, and he still does it. And so his son-in-law, there's some certain family members can kind of persuade, persuade. So his son-in-law said, let's just go and see. We're just going to go have lunch. That's it. I did not try to, I just showed him around. I didn't even really talk to him per se. I just showed him around because he got to see that we had lunch first, and we just walked around. He saw this wasn't a nursing home. He loves to dance. He's the best dancer. He just comes up with a big smile every time we have a dance, because we always have entertainment and we need more and more dancers. So especially men. Yeah. So he is, I think he really enjoys it. And then what a beautiful thing. His daughter is an artist too. And she will come, and she offers her time to come and help paint with the residents and come up with projects. Well, we did for Easter, we painted Easter cookies. So they're actually cookies that you can eat. And then also we did, bookmarks, but it was watercolor. It was beautiful, so, and some people think they can't do it. And then other people are great artists, so that's kind of a story. I feel like that was very just divine, and he, and he ended up, and he's okay, so he enjoys it.
Oh, that's great. Now, my listeners know that I come with notes, and it's funny, where I was going to go here is just the fact that you're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Most of our listeners aren't. I wanted to have you tell us about your site, which you've been doing as we've been talking. My comment in my notes is I spent quite some time on your website, and it's beautiful with large rooms. And then I put almost worth moving 2,000 miles for. But before we started recording, you said that people do move from Spain, from Texas, from all sorts of places. Tell us about that. That's crazy.
Oh, it was amazing. Yes, ma'am. We have family members that live here. Maybe their son, their daughter, their aunt, uncle, or niece or cousins, and they may see that their loved one needs a little bit more closeness. They're getting, they may be declining a little bit, things of that nature. And so they move. I had this one couple, they were fine. It's a beautiful story, actually. The couple in Spain that I was telling you about earlier, he actually caught Legionnaire's disease. They did which was horrible, but they did a virtual tour. And they have a son that lives here that actually works for the university, he and his wife in the drama department. So that was really cool, that connection. And then they could see their grandchildren. Well, so we do a virtual tour. I work with the doctor in Spain. And as soon as I did the virtual tour, they said, we're coming. I said, really? And I've never done that before, and sure enough, we planned it. They flew over here. Do you know that man, her husband, I saw him, he could not walk when he moved here. That much, because of the Legionnaire, which is very rare, okay, that people get Legionnaire's disease. He walked out of here. They decided to go back to Spain because of the cost of living. And they said, Tonia, they wrote us a long letter stating how much they loved it here. And I'm not just saying, I have the letter to prove it, and that they just decided that they wanted to go back now that he was doing so well. And they decided to go back to Spain. And that's what they want to do. It's their life. It's their money. But we had a beautiful experience with them. And to see somebody heal from very rare disease. So it was a beautiful story, I think. But yeah, we have people move from Texas, Virginia, Illinois that I talked to. So California. So all over the country, even Arkansas.
Okay, so having looked at even the floor plans,
Yes.
I'm sitting here. You can see I'm wearing a fleece and a cowl neck here.
Right.
My mouse hand is really cold. I'm looking outside and the wind's blowing and it's overcast. Tell me about Baton Rouge. Convince me to come.
Okay. Well, it's a little bit warm, but as you can see, it's sleeveless. Right now we're having amazing weather. It's cool, the humidity is low, but Baton Rouge is a big, small town. We are LSU, Louisiana State University, is our kind of our base, and people that love college sports that are into to SEC down here in the South is SEC. We are all big football fans, and big sports fans. So we love going to see Mike the Tiger, going to the games. And that's, and some people aren't sports fans, but since we are the capital city of the state, we have the state capitol. We have the old state. We have beautiful churches that are over 100 years old to go see. And because everything is centrally located and we're actually growing so much south, towards or east too, towards New Orleans. But it's just a beautiful oak trees. It does get a little bit warm with the humidity, but some people are tired of the cold. They are just tired of shoveling snow. They're tired of people can slip on that, the ice, all of that. And then they come and enjoy it and they just love the weather. So it's what you tolerate and I guess you're used to, but it's just a beautiful, we're known for our oak trees and over there. And we even have a subdivision in a street name called 100 Oaks because that's how old the oaks are. They're over 100 years old. And so our, floral decor, if you will, of the city is beautiful. And then again, we have the sports and the museums and the art culture bands. We have outdoor concerts. It's live after 5 downtown, every Friday in the spring, and then they do it in the fall. So, it might not be like a huge city like, Chicago or Dallas, but we still have lots of culture here. I don't think you would have enough time to do everything. So, and we're not far from New Orleans, which of course everybody knows because of Mardi Gras and everything. And so I tell everybody that wants to come and visit, look, I'll show you around Baton Rouge and we'll go to New Orleans, because everybody wants to go experience the French Quarter. And so we're only about an hour and a half away from there. So it's a win-win. And then you can go for day trips. We've gone for day trips. We've gone to see, like, one year Palaces of Versailles, in Jackson, Mississippi, going down to the Quarter even. So yeah, we do all, you can do, and of course our restaurants are fabulous. You'll gain tons of weight for sure. If you like to eat. Yeah. And our seafood is amazing. So
I think you're more of an ambassador for your whole region, let alone your site there.
Right.
Dear. Well, it's interesting too that you said it's sort of like, I can't remember just exactly what you said, but it's like a big town, small city. Yeah. And I think so many Canadian cities are like that. I'm in Victoria here, and beautiful. So just to transpose from here to there with nicer weather and warmness, I could handle that.
Right. That's right. And we're not far from lakes and the Mississippi. Oh, and by the way, we have the Mississippi River Bridge. So I have friends in Chicago, and I tease them. I say, hey, I'm at the other end of the Mississippi River, you see, because there's a lot of travel and there's a lot of plants over there. And that's, there's even called the West Baton Rouge, which is a huge culture, and they're small and they even have amazing. So you can get the best of both worlds, so you can go over the bridge and do West Baton Rouge because they have some amazing cultures, festivals, and then their museum. There's just so much because we have small towns and because of our culture of like sugarcane because of our crops, that we grew all of our life, plantation homes. I mean, that's Louisiana culture, and so you're not far from all of those plantation homes, and you get the history. You can have lunch, you can spend the night, you can do all of those different things. They even have one plantation home is supposed to be haunted. Okay. I've been on the tour, but I'm not going at night. Okay. Because the ghost really might come out. No, but it's different things like that you get to experience that you don't see in other cities that I know of. And it was at Indiana. They have the Amish country. I got to visit that one time, and that's unique up there. So down here, it would be, the plantation homes, a little Cajun. One of my best friends is from a little small town called Eunice, and they make crawfish this big. They look like lobsters, but yeah. And so you can get to experience the Cajun culture too. So we have all different types of cultures and dialects too. And you can even kind of distinguish who lives where, even in the boroughs, if you want to call it that, of New Orleans. So some people live in a little town called Chalmette or Metairie and things of that nature. And I kind of think of it like New York. They have the Bronx, they have, all the different boroughs. We just don't call it that, but they all got a little different, even twang or, how they talk. Yeah. So it's really fascinating if you never even, swamp tours, things of thinking you're going to see the alligators. Everybody thinks we live in alligator town, or something. And we all live in the swamps, and we don't, but it's fun. Yeah.
Well, if you ever need a sideline career, you've got one as a travel agent.
Thank you. Yes, that's right.
Oh, dear. Yeah. So what I was going to start to say to the listeners is just that, having been through your website and clicked all sorts of links, there's all sorts of information on it. And so, I recommend that our listeners do go to the website, have a little look around. And then when they're planning their next vacation, you've just convinced us all to go down to your part of the woods. And just while you're there, listeners, have a tour. Phone Tonia up and have a tour. And then when you're ready to make the big move, it's all there for you.
That's right. That's right. We'd love to have them.
Give our listeners the web address for your site, please.
Great. Thank you. It's called, it's Williamsburg, WILLIAMBURSG, of course, WilliamsburgBR.com. And so the building, our architectural of our building is like Williamsburg, Virginia. And that's what we were based on. So even though we're not in Virginia, we're in Baton Rouge, that's what our owners wanted to have. And it's beautiful, Victorian scrolls and blue. Feels like a big dollhouse, so it's beautiful and it's unique. So, and the main thing too, is that, as you can see, that we're a big family. I tell everybody, once you walk through that door, you're family. It doesn't matter if you live here or not, because it's just this, that's just how we are. So that's what I love about a big, small town, is everybody's so friendly. And I'm sure it sounds like that. I'm meeting more and more Canadians on a book club via Zoom. Yay. That I'm doing personally. And so I think it would be the same thing. You have, this one knows this one knows this one, things of that nature. This family may have been in the furniture business and everybody knows their name forever. So we've had that, when I say the word of the furniture company, every resident knows, which everybody knows who they were. They just closed it a while back, but living here, they know it. So
good. Okay. So I always put links in the show notes and on your bio on our webpage. What haven't I asked you that you either want to tell us about your site or about independent or assisted living?
Oh gosh. I could talk for hours. You can see. So I think that just to be open-minded and just come and take a tour. If you're interested in your area and you want to stay in your area and you're interested in independent, just go and see. What have you got to lose? Hey, we offer lunch for anybody that'll want to come, because we got to have good food, right? It might not be the most heart healthy, okay, but food is important. As we grow older, I think some people tend to not be as interested and nutritionist food. Now, fried chicken is not the most nutritionist, but it's better than eating sweets all day, because sweets are not going to benefit our health. But we have well-rounded down home, cooked meals. And so I think it's very important to just be open-minded and just know that that people truly care and that they do want the best for you. And to really, I've had, if you're looking for an independent and assisted, I've even had family members do their research and they'll print out all these questions and they're like, okay, do you have this? Do you have that? And that's okay. They're doing their homework. Then they put spreadsheets together. But you know what? Some people just walk in the door and they say, oh my God, this is it, because they can feel it. It's just like when you maybe you just know. And I want to say, meeting people in person, there's nothing like it. And meeting residents and just seeing how people just truly care and how friendly they are, because everybody's scared to make a huge move and they want to feel comfortable. And we want everyone to feel comfortable when they walk in the door. I think that would be it. And just to, if someone that's a retiree that is interested, just to give it a shot, just go and look. There's no commitment. And then if family members are looking and they're concerned about their loved ones, maybe an aunt or, someone like that, or a mom or dad, just to be open-minded too, because it can be very, very, we're the most competitive in town, but it can be very, very cost prohibitive, if you will, beneficial rather, not prohibitive, when you could put side by side on how much you're spending at your home and you put it side by side on what you would spend here. That list of everything you're paying for at your home, homeowners insurance, property taxes, AC guy, all the repairmen, all the lawn, housekeeping, that adds up, compared to one rent amount, and you got all that. I tell everybody, you have a 95,000 square foot home. You don't have to cook or clean or even change the AC filter,
Well, I know I mentioned the couple earlier that I work with, and now they're also paying for someone to mow the lawn, a landscaper, someone to come in and cook, someone to come in and clean. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's just so top heavy. It would be so much more relaxing to be at a site.
It is. So. It is. And they feel like they're on vacation. I had one resident move in. She said, I'm at summer camp. My daughter has to get on my schedule. I'm so busy, because she was participating in every activity. It was the cutest thing. I was like, and she's doing great, 5 years later, whatever it is.
Oh, that's great. Okay, listeners, if you have thoughts on today's show, please talk to us. Leave comments where you're listening, or if you're listening at the Boomer Woman's podcast at boomwithabang.com, scroll to the bottom of the page and talk to us there. Leave stars and reviews where you can. They help us grow. And for early access of upcoming episodes, there's a sign up under this conversation at Boom with a Bang. Share this episode with anyone you know considering a senior living community for themselves or for a loved one. There's so much great info and food for thought, both at the website, and Tonia's just shared so much with us now. If you know someone in the Baton Rouge area, or you're curious now that our travel agent has been so well promoting it, it's really imperative that those people listen to this episode too. Tonia, thank you for being my guest today and sharing your knowledge with us.
Oh, thank you, Agnes. It was my pleasure. I feel so honored. Yeah, I hope I answered all your questions, and I just thank you. It was a real honor. And a pleasure. I feel like I know you.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of the week.
Okay, you too. Thank you.